A special note on human shields, leadership teams as corporate Kevlar. In the movies, the bad guy grabs a hostage to shield themselves from a bullet. But in real life, you're smarter than that. You know better than to physically use someone as cover. But metaphorically, oh, absolutely. That's what your leadership team is for, to absorb the fallout from your bad decisions, shielding you from the blame while keeping your pristine reputation intact. Let's explore how to deploy your leadership team as human shields, ensuring their usefulness lasts right until they don't. Ensuring their usefulness lasts right until it doesn't. The role of human shield. Your leadership team isn't just a group of professionals, it's your first line of defense against accountability. Each one of them is a sacrificial lamb in waiting, ready to be offered up when a crisis emerges. The beauty of this strategy is that you can publicly support them, praise their contributions, and celebrate their efforts, until you don't. When to deploy your shields. Sales slump? Fire the head of sales. But don't do it too soon. They need to hold the blame long enough to make your decision. They need to hold the blame long enough to make your decisive action look heroic. Rebranding disaster? Goodbye, CMO. A poorly received logo change or tone-deaf campaign is the perfect excuse to clean house. Financial trouble? Time to restructure the CFO. Whether the market is bad or your strategy was worse, someone's got to go, and it's not going to be you. Pro tip. Always time their departures strategically, ensuring they absorb the public criticism. While you move to a new narrative of fresh starts and renewed focus. The ideal human shield profile. Not all shields are created equal. To maximize their effectiveness, your leadership team members should have the following qualities. Sizable targets. You want people whose role are big enough to soak up the damage. A VP of marketing might be great for minor mishaps, but for a full-blown scandal, you'll need the CMO. Disliked, but not too disliked. Choose someone who isn't universally loved. If they're already unpopular, no one will mourn their departure. But if they're too despised, firing them won't create the appearance of bold leadership. It'll just look overdue. Fat and out of shape, metaphorically, or literally. Let's face it, corporate optics matter. The bigger and more out of touch they appear, the easier it is to paint them as the problem. Bonus points if they've been in the company so long that their failure seems inevitable. Timing is everything. The art of being a human shield lies in the timing. Fire too soon and people will question why you didn't fix the problem earlier. Fire too late and you risk sharing the blame. Here's some general guidelines. Sales leadership turnover. The head of sales should stick around just long enough to own the problem. 1 year minimum, 2 years is ideal. Anything longer and people might start blaming you for keeping them. CMO shelf life. Branding disasters take time to unfold. Let the CMO lead the campaign, take the flak, and only then step in to refresh the leadership team. CFO ejections. Restructure the CFO towards the end of your tenure, preferably at year 5. By then, the company might already be teetering, and this will give you an excuse for declining stock prices. Pro tip. Always frame these departures as mutual decisions and emphasize your gratitude for their contribution, no matter how much you sabotage them behind the scenes. Managing the tight-knit teams. Occasionally, you'll encounter leadership teams that actually work well together. Scary, right? These tight-knit groups use back channels and personal relationship to get things done, circumnavigating your control and undermining your authority. So how to dismantle the tight-knit team? Identify the ringleader. Find a person who holds the group together. It might be the COO, a trusted VP, or even your chief of staff. Sow division. Use subtle tactics to pit them against each other. share conflicting feedback, favour certain members, and create an atmosphere of distrust. Remove the anchor. When the inevitable crisis arises, make the ringleader your primary shield. Frame their exit as a necessary change for future growth, and watch as the rest of the team crumbles without their glue. Using family as a weapon. When the time comes to let a particularly entrenched leader go, don't forget the time-honoured excuse, spending more time with family. This works especially well if the person divorced their family years ago. An example scenario. The head of engineering has been causing friction and needs to go. Suddenly, they're excited to focus on personal priorities and reconnect with loved ones. Never mind that they have no intention of leaving their bachelor pad. The sports team mentality. Think of your organisation as a professional sports team. Players or executives come and go, but the coach, you, is the one constant. The team exists to help you grow, succeed, and eventually replace them with better talent. Golden rules of team turnover. Better is better. Replace loyalty with ambition. A better hire is always worth alienating the current leadership. Rotate the lineup. Regular change keeps people on their toes and ensures no one gets too comfortable or too powerful. Sacrificial lambs first. Fire the most expendable leaders first to buy yourself more time before touching the untouchables. Framing the narrative. Once you've used a human shield to absorb the fallout, you need to spin their departure in a way that reinforces your position as the hero. The classic CEO farewell statement. We are deeply grateful for, Shield's name, contribution to the company during their time here. Under their leadership, we have made strides in insert generic accomplishment. As we move forward, we're excited to bring in fresh perspectives and new energy to achieve our ambitious goals. We wish, Shield's name, all the best as they pursue new opportunities and focus on their personal journey. This language ensures you look gracious even as you throw them under the bus. The art of patience. When to reach for the human shield. As tempting as it may be to toss a leadership team member into the line of fire the moment a crisis arises, it's important to exercise restraint. Human shields, while expendable in theory, are a finite resource, and their effectiveness depends entirely on timing. Fire someone too soon, and the blame ricochets back to you. Wait too long, and their incompetence becomes your incompetence. So let's explore the nuances. Let's explore the nuanced art of knowing when and when not to deploy your first corporate shield. Let's explore the nuanced art of knowing when and when not to deploy your corporate human shields. Timing is everything. Patience is your greatest ally in managing leadership turnover. A poorly timed sacrifice doesn't just waste the shield, it exposes you. The key is letting them linger just long enough to absorb all the blame for their failures while keeping your hands clean. Early departures are dangerous. Firing a new head of sales after just 3 months doesn't say bold leadership, it screams, I made a bad hire. This creates doubts about your judgment, rumours about internal instability, a perception that the problem lies with you, not them. Avoid this by asking, have you had enough time to plausibly fail on their own? Have they had enough time to plausibly fail on their own? Can I reasonably argue that they had a fair chance to succeed? The sweet spot. 2 years. By the 2-year mark, the head of sales has been around long enough to own any lingering revenue problems, be the face of whatever strategy has failed, shoulder the weight of missed targets. At this point, their departure looks like a natural consequence of their own shortcomings, not a knee-jerk reaction from you. 5 years is a fantasy. No one in a high-pressure role like sales leadership lasts 5 years. If they somehow defied the odds, they're either completely run out of ideas and burnt out, or have built a power base strong enough that you can't ignore them. Either way, they're overdue for removal. 5 years is a lifetime in sales leadership. If they're still around, it's your fault for letting them stay that long. Human shields have families, but that's not why you care. Let's not pretend you're worried about their well-being for altruistic reasons. Their personal lives matter because they add to the optics of their exit. The perfect exit narrative, after careful consideration, Shield's name, has decided to step down to focus on their family. We respect Shield's name, desire to prioritise personal time after X years of dedicated service. This lets you appear compassionate, avoid discussing their actual failings, save face for both parties. Here's the pro tip. For added flair, use this tactic even if they've estranged from their family. For added flair, use this tactic if it's already known that they're estranged from their family. No one's going to fact check whether they're really spending time with their kids. Alternatives to the human shield. Before sacrificing a shield, consider whether you can deflect blame elsewhere. A good leader knows how to explore other ways to shift attention away from themselves. Blame the system. We've been operating in a tough macroeconomic environment. The market dynamics have shifted in unprecedented ways. This approach is great because it's vague, impossible to disprove, and doesn't require firing anyone. Create a distraction. Announce a new initiative or product launch to draw attention away from the crisis. Leak an unrelated, juicy internal drama, e.g. a mid-level manager's inappropriate Slack messages. Or ultimately play the long game. If the blame isn't too immediate, consider delaying action. Sometimes the problem will resolve itself and someone else will mess up badly enough to take the heat. The ideal human shield should be built for sacrifice. When hiring or promoting someone into a leadership position, always consider their potential as a future scapegoat. Shields need to be effective until the moment they're not, and then they're disposable. So, qualities to look for in a shield. Big title, big target. The more visible they are, the more blame they can absorb. Ambition without execution. Someone who talks a big game but fails to deliver makes the perfect patsy. Slightly polarizing. If they're too beloved, firing them could backfire. If they're already disliked, no one will mourn their departure. Pro tip. Keep recordings of their missteps. You need them to build the case for their exit when the time comes. Always leave the room for redemption, until you don't. While your shield is still useful, publicly support them. Praise their efforts, highlight their contributions, and make it clear you're fully aligned. This builds trust and ensures they don't see the knife coming. When it's time to let go, quietly distance yourself. Frame their exit as a strategic pivot rather than a punishment. Express gratitude no matter how disastrous their tenure was. The leadership carousel, a necessary evil. Frequent turnover isn't inevitable, it's strategic. Each new hire brings fresh energy and a new scapegoat to the table. Rotate your shields often enough to keep the focus off you while ensuring the company's failures always have a convenient face attached. Key metrics for leadership longevity. Sales leadership, 18 to 24 months. Marketing leadership, 2 to 3 years, depending on how bad the rebrand was. Finance leadership, 4 to 5 years. Blame them just as you're exiting. Conclusion. Shields save careers. Your leadership team isn't just a group of executives, it's your armour against failure. Use them wisely, sparingly, and strategically. By the time you're done, the blame will always fall on someone else, and your reputation will remain intact. Remember, the best shields are those who take the bullet without even realizing it was aimed at you. Play the long game, and you'll never have to take your hit yourself. Cheers to leadership. Conclusions. Shields up. Your leadership team is there to serve you, whether by executing your vision or taking the blame for it. By carefully cultivating a roster of human shields, you can protect your reputation, deflect criticism, and live to make another bad decision. Remember, there's no I in team, but there is in I survive. Use your shields wisely, and you'll always come out on top.